Yeah, I understood that when you were asked to design the euro, so to say, or maybe I'm really understanding this wrongly, but the thinking was that only 20% of the trade would go across boundaries or something, and so the euro itself should have been complementary, and the currencies that existed in the countries stay there. And to me, this makes a lot of sense because my euros here have a very different meaning than if I go to Montenegro and spend them there, for instance. So in this thinking, kind of the idea was that the euro functions sort of similar to the Bancor protocol or any other protocol that doesn't exchange, because it's, I mean, maybe you could comment on this. So in a different, related to like the Bitcoin being sort of the lingua franca currency, franco, and then we move through this. Could you comment on this?
Yes. I was involved, actually, I was at the Central Bank of Belgium at the time of, we're talking the late 70s, 78 to 83. And, well, first of all, why did I get involved, right? I mean, what happened at the time was the big meeting between Giscard d'Estaing and Helmut Schmidt in Bremen, where they made a declaration that Europe needs a monetary, a zone of monetary stability. That's like saying, you know, we like applehood, or apple pie and stuff like that. I mean, it's a motherhood, right? Doesn't mean anything. They didn't talk about currency then. Then Giscard d'Estaing went to Paris and said to the Banque de France, do something purely European. And Helmut Schmidt went to the Deutsche Bundesbank and said, do something that doesn't upset the Americans. These two ideas are not compatible. So the Bank of International Settlements is set up, it exists for these kind of issues. What they do is create a committee, the ECU committee, the European Currency Unit Committee, and they put a Belgium inside and in control of it. And the chairman was my colleague from the foreign department, and he walked into my office and said, you know something about systems, eh? What the hell do we do? Okay, so I've been working on this thing for about 3 years, and my proposal was different from what has happened. I did not want to have a common currency. I didn't want to have a single currency. I wanted to have a common currency. Okay? That all the countries in Europe use a single currency, the euro, plus everybody has his own currency. Why not? Right? That was not acceptable. Okay? And just for the little history, I was also at that point president of the electronic payment system in Belgium, and because of that I was going to Basel regularly for meetings there about these issues. And the president of the Bank of International Settlements came to me at the cafeteria in Basel and said, Bernard, I read your book on Latin America. What are you doing in the central bank? And I answered the honest question. I said, I'm in the central bank because I've actually worked on predicting that there would be a major crash in Latin America in the 1980s. And I thought that the place that it would be structural, and that therefore we're going to have more of those. That would be. I described it as the first crisis of the 21st century in 1980, right? So, because I expected more of those, okay? And I thought that, well, the place to look at these issues would be central bank. And the only central bank where I have access is the Belgian one, because you cannot work. You can work for the for the State Department in the States as a foreigner, but you cannot work for the Federal Reserve as a foreigner. Okay, so they're more Catholic than the Pope, right? And central banks, okay, trying to be kind of national, right? So he said, Bernard, you don't understand. We exist, the Bank of International Settlements. Every central bank in the world exists only for one purpose, keep the system going exactly as is, not to improve it. You're right, the system is unstable, and if you want to do something about it, I suggest you go to the private sector, which is what I gave my resignation, because everything I've been trying to do to change the system was blocked. So that's why I resigned in '83. Okay, is that a fair answer? Okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you very much, Professor Lietaer.